Great. Well, Sam, can't thank you enough for joining us. What a real treasure and treat to have you joining us from Italy, the 2026 Winter Olympics. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rick. I'm glad this worked out. It was good first day of training out there. So busy afternoon with dryland and video and meetings and lots, but I'm glad we fit this in.
So before we jump in, you are our first repeat podcast guest. So that holds you in high esteem for what
Yeah, I
that
set a
means.
high bar. If you make the Olympics, you get to come back on.
But I would like to introduce you to those of people that don't know you well, and it'll just be a brief introduction. But you've been Sam Morse, been a member of the U.S. ski team for, is it 11 years now
Yeah,
or 10?
that sounds about right. No, 11.
About 11 years.
Yeah.
And about 300 days a year, you're pursuing your passion of skiing fast, and you're on the World Cup team for the U.S. You are also, in your downtime, attending Dartmouth College, pursuing a degree in mechanical engineering. You are a contributor for Ski Racing Magazine from time to time, and you founded FAST Camp, a faith and ski training camp that takes place at Mount Hood in Oregon each June for young athletes aspiring to be the next Sam Morse. You're a registered Maine guide, and you are part owner of Deli's Restaurant at the base of Sugarloaf Mountain. And you're married to Mackenzie, or Mac, I suppose, as she's most commonly called. And I think you've been married for, is it 3 years now?
Yep.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's
Thank you.
wonderful. Just recently, you got named to the Winter Olympics Alpine ski team. Tell us about how you earned that spot.
Yeah, it was, I would say, a bit unexpected this coming into this year. I just didn't have a great start position. Had the Olympics been 2 years ago, I'd been like, oh yeah, I'm going for sure. I had a career best year, epic results to start the season. And then last year was okay, and I had some great races, but they weren't always in the best races to score points, which helps your start position. Anyway, so I came into this year starting in the early 50s in both disciplines, which is just pretty deep in a ski race to be able to throw it in. And I needed top 20s to do it. I'd had some top 30 results already at that point in the year in December, but our last qualification race series was in Wengen, Switzerland in mid-January. And it was now or never. And I had a Super G run that was quite good from 47th to 15th place. And that qualified me as an eligible candidate. I didn't get the official word until like 5 or 6 days later, once we were in Kitzbühel racing there. But those 5 or 6 days, I was like, oh man, I don't know. Was that enough? We'll see. Like, it all depends on how you read the fine print of the criteria. Anyways, it was enough, and definitely like a come from behind win, I would say, in a way.
And where were you when you heard the news, and who was with you?
Yeah, so our head coach, Mark Tilston, the men's Alpine director, he just pulled me into a little side room in our hotel in Kitzbühel, and I was awaiting the news, and he didn't drag me along too far. He just said, "Welcome, congratulations, you've made the Olympic team." And I was just like, oh, thank God, such a wave of relief and emotion. And I hadn't slept in a couple nights. I was just like stressing so hard, even though there was nothing I could do about it at that point. It's hard. My brain just wouldn't calm down, right? You just like
Yeah.
lay in bed at night, and it's just spinning with all of the potential and possibilities and everything. So pretty special that it worked out. But I did have to ski Kitzbühel training run before I got that news, which is tough, like, which is the hardest downhill in the world. And have that on your mind, and you got to go out there and perform for a training run, which isn't, doesn't count for anything, but it's still one of those courses you got to be full on out of the get go.
Focused, fully
Yeah.
focused. Yeah, yeah. Interesting. So what people may not understand is the criteria, and I don't, not to explain it in
Yeah.
infinite detail, but the difference between making it and not making it. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit. Making the team is
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, they're looking for World Cup results, World Cup top 20s, top 15s, top 10s, top 5s, top 3s. So it's all based upon how your other teammates are doing. So in Super G, there had been three other guys that had top 20s, but there's four that get to start each discipline. So I was able to be the fourth guy coming in for that. And then since the total team size is only six people across all disciplines, then I also get to race the downhill because we don't have enough downhillers here from that quota. So yeah, that's a brief overview. But basically, from the start of the season until January, I don't know, 18th or whatever, that's your quota period, and it's how you're doing in those World Cups on a weekly basis. You know, I had 8 opportunities, 4 downhills, 4 Super Gs, something like that.
And has nothing to do with prior years. Like you said, you could have had your best year 2 years ago, and that does not
Correct.
equate to anything. It's got to be in this particular season.
Yeah.
And these World Cup events, how many competitors are there at a World Cup Super G and downhill?
Yeah, those will have upwards of 80 guys in that like 60 to 80 window. And today at the Olympic training run, we had 45 on the start list. So it drops down considerably. And I think by race day, there'll probably only be like 40-ish.
Really?
Yeah.
Why
Because
do you
each
suppose that
nation,
number
each nation can only start 4 people.
Oh,
Where in a World Cup downhill, Switzerland's starting 10, we're starting 7 or 8, and we can only start 4 here. So
mm, yeah. So the fastest people in the world on skis
yes, this
are
is a
at World
very
Cup and the Olympics.
yes, this is a very elite group to make, and it's tough. Each nation doesn't get the same amount of total team sizes. So like the U.S. women get to take 11, but the U.S. men only get to take 6, where the like total team size and the Swiss or Austrians, they take 11. And it all is based upon how many people you have ranked in the top whatever in the world, and it's not just the people that go that can help contribute to that rankings, it's other people. So it's kind of how strong your nation is as a whole and creates those spots. So making the Austrian team is quite difficult, but then again, they have a lot more spots. Nations like the US and France and Germany, like, we're strong nations, we have medal contenders, yet we don't have that many spots. We only have 5 to 6 spots, and that's really tough to field a team across 4 disciplines when you can start 4 per discipline.
Mm, great. In a post you made recently, you said ski racing is a brutal sport that humbles even the best. You can be ripping one day and then just a little off the next and be fighting for scraps at the back. Ski racing is like the best casino ever. It gives you a win just enough times to keep you coming back, but never to be satisfied. I still love to play the game, though, and will definitely be back for more. So maybe you could comment on that, and then I got a question.
Yeah, totally. So that was in reflection of my Kitzbühel downhill run, which was the second of 2 races in Kitzbühel. I had raced the Super G the day before and had a great result, another top 20 to kind of back up what I'd done in Wengen. So I was on the top of the moon, like, incredible day in Kitzbühel, try to roll that momentum into the downhill. Doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. Not a great day. And just reflecting back, like, man, the highs and lows of this sport, it's a roller coaster. And nobody, like, it's not like a basketball team or a football team that can just have like a winning record, right? They can be winning over 50% of the time. Rarely does anyone ever do that, even of the most dominant people. Odermatt still got second at Kitzbühel and fourth in Crans-Montana. They're not winning every single weekend. So the sport constantly is humbling even the best.
Well, I think something that I heard you say, maybe it was a Kitzbühel, where wasn't there a delay which caused the temperatures to?
That was in Crans-Montana.
Okay.
That was since
Crans-Montana.
Kitzbühel. Okay. So since qualifying for the Olympics, I've raced 5 starts. So there's been quite a bit of racing even since then. Yeah, that was my very last race that I did in Crans-Montana. Sunny weather. Good friend of mine, Henrik von Appen from Chile, crashed. Big hold. He ended up ending his season, unfortunately. So that was a long wait at the top, and it caused quite a bit of change in snow temperatures, which then slowed the track down. So things like that are completely out of your control.
And the margin, taking that out of your control can change your finish time by half a second,
yeah,
or a second or more.
Yeah, half a second.
And all it takes is 100th of a second, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Roll the dice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question that I had around that was, so you're preparing. It's an Olympic year, and you're preparing, and you're going to race in the Olympics. So, what's different about this year versus other years, or is it just keeping on the basics and keep on keeping on?
Yeah, you tell yourself, yeah, I'm just gonna go out there and do the same thing and treat it like any other ski race, but it's not. There's more on the line this year, certainly. Yeah, you take a little more risk. You're pushing harder. You're willing to get hurt, is the best way to put it. Then once you qualify, I have to say I had a good week in Kitzbühel, but then since then I've had 3 starts since Kitzbühel and struggled to push myself as hard. Just like I don't want to be what Lindsey Vonn is currently dealing with. Like I don't want to blow up my ACL a week before my first Olympics.
Mm.
And there's days when you have a good shot and things are lining up right. You're feeling good. The weather's good. Your skis are good. And then there's days you're like, I'm really forcing it. And it's not that you're out of it, but it's not coming together as easily. And recognizing those days and maybe just being like, maybe today's not the day. I got a really big opportunity that I'm super excited about, aka the Olympics. I'm not gonna, hurt myself for this. So that certainly becomes a factor after you qualify. But at the beginning of the year, it's like full on.
So you go from Grand Montagna, is that
Yep.
correct? Yeah, you go from there, which is in what country? Sorry.
That's in Switzerland, and then
Okay,
we
you're in
drove over to
Switzerland,
Bormio. Yeah, over to
and you
Italy.
drove over. So you're in Bormio right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Now, when you arrived at the Olympic city, which is Marino, I think, is that
Milan. Yeah.
Milan? Okay, Milan. Sorry.
Yep.
Is that where you first kind of reported to the Olympics?
Yes. Yeah. So I had the opportunity on my way from Montana to Bormio, Italy, swinging through Milan, and going to what they call the Team USA Welcome Experience, which is this huge production that Team USA puts on to give our kits, the uniforming kits. You'll see it all over social media. And that was a really, really special experience. I'm glad I did it because there was not, I could have just gotten all my duffel bags delivered directly to Bormio. And my wife, Mackenzie, works for the U.S. Olympic Committee. She's like, no, you should really try to go in person to this thing. They do it up big. And we arrived there. I convinced one of my teammates, Kyle Negamir, to come with me. And we arrived there, and they're like, okay, we're slated for a noon start. And I was like, great. And we show up early, and they're like, okay, just hang down here. And we're like, all right. And then 10 minutes passes, and this lady comes down with a radio, and she's like, all right, they're ready for you. And it's just this like huge staircase leading up to nowhere. And we're like, okay, I guess they're ready for us. Just here to try on some jackets. And we start walking up the stairs, and you start hearing like all this cheering and loud noises from the top of the stairs. And you're like, oh, there must be some famous Olympian up there getting, and then about halfway up the staircase, you realize like, oh no, they're cheering for us. And that was a surreal experience. There was, I don't know, felt like 100 something people that were like running that whole event came out from their booths to cheer on, the latest Olympians that arrived. We were the only ones in the facility at the time for the athletes. And yeah, I didn't know any of those people, and they came out and cheered me on. We got to the top, and then they played this cool video from all the families of the Alpine guys, contributed little videos that we hadn't seen, just congratulating us, and they played that, and then we went on to get our kits and opening ceremonies jackets and everything. But that was really, really special. That definitely began to finally set in. Like, I'm going to the Olympics. This is crazy.
Well, I could tell you from an outsider's perspective, vicariously living your Olympic experience, you did the videos that you've got out and the posts and reels about that are just, they're so much fun to watch. And
Yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, geez, I wonder if he'd have half an hour, 45 minutes maybe to chat with us, because I mean, the, so explain Olympics versus World Cup. Is there a difference in mentality, approach? Not so much from the athlete. Well, do you understand my question?
Yeah, I would say when I get in the gate, no. Ski racing, ski racing. I don't feel, and the World Cup has the best guys in the world at it too. It's the same group of guys that I'm racing with over there. They're here. It's not like there's other people at the Olympics that I'm trying to beat, that not on a weekly basis. So when it comes to the actual like X's and O's of the sport, no. But is the Olympics different from an event standpoint? Absolutely. Like, I got to go through a metal detector to get on the chairlift every day. Like, I don't usually have to do that. And take all kinds of media stuff after. And you get tons of uniforming. Like there's a lot to the event that makes it really special. And for me, I would say what really separates it from World Cup is World Cup's like my daily job that I go out and I do. And like my family and friends are like, oh yeah, Sam Morse, like, yeah, he's World Cup skier, whatever. The Olympics is like a global stage event that, my family that has never really watched me race will like finally get to watch me ski race. And this is kind of like an exhibition event, showcasing your sport to the world. And that piece feels a little different.
Training coming into this year, same kind of thing? Anything different? Anything new?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like our budgets are definitely bigger on a pre-Olympic year. Next year, things will get cut back in terms of the number of training camps we do. So we started in July 28th down in Argentina training for there for a couple weeks, then to Chile for a couple weeks, and then we had an extra trip that we don't always have over to Europe in October, and then to Colorado. So there was some extra trips, some extra training opportunities that we tried to make happen given the Olympic year because everyone else is too.
Mm,
You're just trying to be competitive with everyone else.
yeah. Your specific training program that you do coinciding with your ski racing, has that changed any?
I wouldn't say anything particularly changed for the Olympics. When you've been doing it for over a decade, you definitely focus on different things each year. Like you can't just work on everything with your athletic in terms of working out every year. Like you got to pick and choose. Like this year, I'm gonna really focus on this and get a little better at this. And then the next year, all right, my emphasis is gonna be on this. And then you slowly try to raise the base level of your athleticism in all kinds of areas, whether it's agility or heart rate variability or max strength or max power or whatever it is. You are picking different things each year to kind of focus on. So coming into this year, I and Crans Montana last year had made a turn that was I got late on a gate and like really went to save it and just cranked my knee pretty hard and tore a good slice of cartilage off the underside of my patella kneecap on the underside and kind of nursed it out through the rest of the season, but was like skiing in quite a bit of pain. And then went to Dartmouth in the spring and was like, okay, like let's take some time off from skis, see if it gets better. It didn't really. I was working out on it, and then we had a training camp in May in Mammoth. Went out and tested a little of it, and still wasn't great. And I'm like, oh no, what are we gonna do with this? This is not sweet. I don't want to be dealing with this coming to Olympic year. And my wife and I had been planning for months to go and hike the Long Trail in Vermont, which we planned it 3 weeks backpacking up the whole state of Vermont from Massachusetts to Canada. And I called, our strength dryland coach and our PT and was like, hey guys, I'm planning to do this. My knee still hurts. What do you guys think about this? Is this like a terrible idea? And they're like, well, it's really going to go one of two ways. And because from a structural standpoint, my knee was actually still strong. There was no ligament damage. I didn't have any instabilities. It was simply cartilage. The coating of that was torn in a way that just causes a fair bit of pain, but there's nothing structurally wrong with it. So I talked to my PT about like when we're hiking, we're basically doing 1,000 little like eccentric lowering and small movements right through that range of motion where it hurt. And he's like, I think you can retrain your brain to trust it and not to freak out. So after about a week on the trail, I was like, uh-oh, this thing is swollen and it hurts and maybe I should stop. I'm not sure this is helping. But being stubborn that I was, we kept going and the human body is incredible. It just like got better is the best way I can say it. It just walked through it. And it wasn't easy, but that kind of agitation of load, it got used to it and it just stopped hurting. And I got off the trail, rested for a week, and then flew down to Ushuaia. Zero knee pain, none. Like the best my knees had felt in years. Just that kind of repetitive, small micro loads, nothing super big, not like acute trauma to it, and really just like bulletproofed my knees, and they've been great all year. So there's a little something that I did differently coming to the Olympics to try to help with my knees, and it worked. So
Yeah, it's interesting how that all came together. How long
yeah.
was that? How many weeks were you out on that long trail?
So yeah, we're up there for 3 weeks. It was
Okay.
270 miles, and it was climbed 70,000 feet and descended 70,000 feet. So twice up Everest from sea level. So quite a
Wow.
bit of quite a bit of climbing and descending.
Yeah, for sure. So, as I understand it, this Olympics is fairly spread out.
Yes.
Um, Maybe not a common space where all the athletes are kind of at least once in a while rooted.
Yeah.
So, what's the Olympic experience like where you're at? What will you and what from a community of Olympians will you participate in?
Yeah, definitely strange Olympics this year with the venues all spread out. That being said, I think the Alpine venues are probably always a little bit like this, right? Like for most Olympics, you have this city where you have all the skating and maybe you have sliding there, whatever. And then you have the Alpine Village, which is off on some mountain because it's so location specific. Yeah, so in terms of what it feels like here, it's definitely a lot of the same guys. There isn't a ton of other Olympians that we're meeting in this village, which is unfortunate. We did get to go to the welcome experience, which was really cool, and get the uniforms, but I didn't meet any other Olympians there. So I haven't met any other Olympians yet that actually aren't guys I race with on a daily basis. But after I'm done racing, we are going to go up to Livigno, which is just up the hill from Bormio, about an hour's drive. And that's where all the freestyle and moguls are taking place. And we have a good friend who is competing, and we're going to go up and watch the dual moguls event, which is premiering in the Olympics this year. And Mac, my wife, she's like, I want to see dual moguls. It's the best form of moguls. So we're going to go up and watch that, which would be super fun. Cheer our friend on. And in terms of other kind of with the larger Olympic delegation that we're going to do, I am going to try to go to the opening ceremonies on Friday night, the night before the downhill. It's up in Livigno, so there's remote opening ceremonies. So there's like a big one in Milan, and then there's like several other satellite ones. And when you're watching it home on television, they're gonna link them all together, so you'll think we're all at the same place, but we're actually not. So I'm gonna try to go to the Livigno one, and hopefully not get back too late the night before the downhill. The coaches were pretty against it, and I was just like, you know what? This is the Olympics. I'm going. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
sleep the night before the Olympic downhill, anyways.
Yeah, you can condense your sleeping by not trying to lay in bed
Yeah.
all night long to fall asleep.
No. Yeah. But I'm hoping that'll be an opportunity to meet other Olympians, get to experience that Olympic feeling more.
Is the Alpine towards the beginning of the total Olympic time frame?
Yes, we are the first medal event, the downhill
Okay.
actually.
So what happens? You do your Super G and downhill. There'll be. When did you say that's on Friday or Saturday?
The downhill's on Saturday.
And then the Super G is
On the 11th, not until the following week. Yeah, so it's February 7th and February 11th.
is there more World Cup after the Olympics?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we go to Garmisch in end of February and then Courchevel in France beginning of March. So, yeah, there's more racing to be had. The season is yet
Mm.
young.
Who do you have for close supporters while you're there?
That are coming in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my parents will be here, Pam and Earl, and then my wife Mackenzie's here, and then my brother Ben is getting in, I think tonight or tomorrow. So that'll be the core of the Morse family that's here, and really excited to have them here. They've seen it. They've seen the whole journey, right, since you were a little kid.
Mm-hmm. 23 months old, I believe, is
Yeah, that's right.
the time frame. Yeah, yeah, it's a great story. So you're in Bormio, and what's the hill like there? Have you raced this hill before?
Yeah, so this is a unique World Cup, and I mean a unique Olympics in that this is a regular stop on the World Cup tour. So I've raced this hill many times. That being said, we always usually race in December. So the light is different. It's usually a lot darker, and they fully inject the hill. So it's like a skating rink in December. Here, they just got a foot and a half of snow yesterday, 2 days ago. So the conditions are quite a bit softer. The light's a little better, even though it is going to be cloudy for much of the week here. It's different than December, I will say. But it's a course that everybody knows. This is the Olympic gold downhill that you want to win. It's a legit track that everyone has time on. It's not some like niche track over in Asia that no one has ever run that has weird snow and weird wind and is kind of a funky race. This will be like a classic race, a classic downhill that is really demanding. This is one of the hardest tracks of the year. It's long, it's bumpy.
How long is it?
It's about 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes. But it's like 2 minutes of all out. There's not like Wengen is like 230, but you have like long stretches where you're just tucking in a straight line, not doing a whole lot. This has very little of that. This is just terrain, demanding turns, top to bottom. So your legs are talking to you at the bottom pretty good.
What's your favorite part about it, of this course?
Oof. The top's pretty cool. Yeah, the first three turns you accelerate quite. You got to jump, and then you go into this Canalino section. It's called, and when the snow's good, we'll go like well over 90 miles an hour through that section. So you're just building a lot of speed really quick, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's 90 miles an hour, not kilometers per hour.
Correct.
Yes.
150 kilometers an hour.
150 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
And so you do have training runs in advance of this. It's not like it's a one-time event.
Yeah.
So how much training do you get to slip the course, then train it? How does that work?
Yeah, so we slip it each morning. We do an inspection run, and then we do a training run. So we did a training run today. We'll do a training run the next 2 days, hopefully, and then race on Saturday. So we'll get 3 training runs here.
I would like to just chat for a few minutes about your wonderful wife, Mac, who I can't tell you how much I enjoy, and this is my own personal thing. But I know that many do. Her work and her writing, her muse is poetic on elite athletes and what's happening to them, their mindsets, what they think, how they operate. And that's work that's her work, right? Working with elite athletes who are
Yeah.
maybe finishing their career, or you're both in that elite category.
Yes. Yeah. So she works for
Yeah,
the U.S. Olympic Committee full time in the Athlete Services Department, doing career and education help, trying to give athletes a foot in the world after they're done competing and kind of reshaping what their identity looks like and everything moving forward. But then she also started her own community called the Sideline Perspective that has the writing associated with it, and that's been really really impactful for her, just as a passion project, but to tell the story of the untold athlete, right? I mean, today I was getting interviewed by several interviews, and what does every interviewer want to ask? Oh, how's Lindsay's knee doing? I'm like, we're in Bormio, dude. I don't know. Go ask Lindsay. And
go look at
they
10,000 Facebook posts.
yeah, they suck up a lot of oxygen in the room, and I think it's important that the journeyman athlete story is told as well, not just the superstars.
Absolutely, yes. Well, that's when you mention that, Sam, the Olympics. That's why I love the Olympics,
Yeah.
because you get to hear not all the stories, but many of the stories that are so many times untold
Yeah.
by athletes. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But I really enjoy Mac's uh, writings and comments, and they really
Hmm.
go to the heart, and they're just they're evocative in the subject matter and
Yeah.
narrative. So very good. We will sign off here, but I just want you to know that when I watch Sam Morse, whether he's careening down the face of a mountain in a World Cup downhill race or just being Sam at his home mountain at Sugarloaf, you just give off a level of positive energy. You cannot overlook this profound enthusiasm and joy that you bring to everything that you do. And to have you there representing, the United States of America, you couldn't be a better representative. To be representing our home state of Maine, Carrabassett Valley, Sugarloaf, Carrabassett Valley Academy. What a great thing, Sam. We're just so proud of you and happy for you, and just grateful to be on the journey. The last question I will ask is, what's the best way to watch so we can see you?
Yeah, so these should be all on NBC. The Alpine skiing events will be there. And if you want to watch reruns or get up early and maybe it's not on NBC live, Peacock is what's showing it. So that's like NBC's, online or digital package outside of their regular cable network. So Peacock and NBC, that's where you're going to see it.
And we can see more personal content if we go to Sam Morse Ski.
Yep, on my Instagram, Sam Morse. I got Mac plugged into the back end, so I'm sending her content and she posts it for me. It's pretty great.
Outstanding. And thank you also. It's almost 9 o'clock where you are now, so I know you've got a busy schedule and
And
got
I
to
got
sleep
two
somehow
more
or
two
other.
more two more interviews
Two more
after you.
interviews.
So
Okay. Well, for squeezing us in, I am eternally grateful. and we can't wait to watch you and see you back here when you get back.
Okay, awesome. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Rick. Really
Thanks so much,
appreciate
Sam.
it.